Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Fabiola Franco. He is a retired newsman who worked in the business for over 60 years. His April 1949 on-scene 27-hour report of an unsuccessful attempt to rescue Kathy Fiscus from an abandoned well in San Marino, California, prompted the sale of hundreds of TV sets in Los Angeles. His report that day is recognized as the first television live coverage of a breaking news story. I welcome my guest, the legendary Stan Chambers.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be here, and I get a chance to restir some of those wonderful memories.
Definitely. First and foremost, Stan, what can you tell me, what sparked or piqued your interest in journalism?
The fact that it changes every day, the fact that you have the pressure of the deadline of find the story, do the story, film the story, edit it, and get it on the air in time for the broadcast. So it's that daily challenge that you meet that afterwards you think, oh, how did we ever do it? It isn't possible. But the next day, it looks kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. So it continually revitalizes itself. And I think that after all these years, my favorite pastime is doing a good breaking news story.
Definitely. Did you ever think that year that ultimately changed your life, it was 1949, 62 years ago, that you would be the first reporter to break a story on live television? Did you ever think that would happen?
No, you don't think of that because everything was almost first at that time.
Yeah.
And the fact that happened when it did, there was enough people had a television set so that it could be seen by a lot of other people. And when it was on for so long, people were over at people's houses. They were sleeping on the floor. They had to see how the rescue of Kathy Fiscus was progressing. And it was very emotional. And of course, we were there at the scene, so we didn't really understand the emotional impact that it had.
And what can you tell me personally about that experience with the whole Kathy Fiscus story?
Well, we went out, first of all, the credit goes to Klaus Landsberg, our first general manager, who was an engineer, but he loved the news business. So for him to be able to take those cameras out of a workroom, put them on a truck and take them out to a breaking news story was just exciting. And people at home had a chance to see something for the first time. And so it was this little Kathy Fiscus had fallen into this deep well, and the rescue was on, and it lasted all that time. So you were a part of it. Every day every moment you were praying and hoping and waiting. And so when the word came that she had died, the whole city felt they had lost a member of the family. Yeah. But the interesting thing of that, so many people were involved individually at home that they decided to buy a television set. And so that was one of the big news stories that helped sell television in Los Angeles.
What can you tell me after this amazing experience, after the first live-breaking news story, how did it change journalism in terms of a different medium, television news? How did it change?
Well, it just completely revolutionized it because up to then, the newsreels were on with the old newsreel camera, and they would go back and be edited and would get on the air maybe the next week or so. So for the first time, the video that was used went on the air live, and people watched. And it was such an emotional moment, and it was over a weekend, that it made a tremendous impact on the city of Los Angeles. So it was the unsuccessful attempt to rescue a little girl, but it was such an emotional experience that television and the power of those cameras became evident to a lot of people.
How did the people, the audience, react to, like you said, such a powerful moment in history? When they would see you, did they say anything
to you? Oh, yes. Overnight, I became a television celebrity. And because they had gone through the whole thing with me. Yeah. And they all also wanted to buy a television set because they experienced it. And so I was one of the first to be a part of a news story. And this news story was a part of the lives of millions of people in Southern California. So it was a monumental day. We, of course, had no idea at the time that there was an impact like that. That came kind of a couple of days later after we got a lot of sleep.
So how did you react to being seen as a celebrity, as a first television reporter?
Well, television was so new that television was the real celebrity. I had a lot of good friends, and I enjoyed, you bump into somebody and you talk about what happened. But the television experience of thousands and thousands of people is really what made the advance of television so possible. So people said, well, I've got to have one. Yeah. And a lot of people bought their first television set shortly after the Kathy Fiscus telecast.
Thank you, Stan. We'll be right back.
No, what'd she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone. Mom, I'm on the phone! Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom.
Oh, you're on the phone.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry. Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
For more simple ways to fight the flu, visit www.flu.gov.
Yes, ready. Go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Come on.
How you feel?
I'm feeling good. Spin me.
Got you.
Oh, goodness. Oh.
So I hear you have about an estimated 20,000 news stories in the history of you being a journalist. Let me mention a few of them and tell me what comes to mind, the first thing that comes to mind for you. The atomic bomb test at the Nevada test site.
Well, it was way out on the desert. There's no way in the world that you could get a camera out there. So nobody in the business was going to televise it. But Klaus Landsberg, who was our genius station manager, he said, we're going to do something. And through negotiations, he made progress with the federal authorities so that we could take a camera and put it on a mountaintop that was visible to the command or to the bomb site. And so we would go on the air. Gil Martin was our news director at the time, and he was there, and all of a sudden, all you saw was this big flash of light. And for the first time, this bomb is seen on television by maybe hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. But it changed everything. And it was a futurist like Klaus Landsberg who could see how important this was to the whole society. So he did that, and then he had broadcasting equipment on mountain peaks that he put up there. And the Navy had several ships coming back from the war zone at that time. Well, that was down in either San Diego or one of those points, or maybe just our harbor. But we had the cameras there, and you saw them come back. So you realize it was the explosion, the distance, the fact that your camera had the power to go so far away that television news really got the big start.
How about the 1994 Northridge earthquake? What comes to mind?
Well, there again, we were pretty well underway. We knew that cameras could get out there. We knew we could do almost anything with them. So we were able to take cameras into many different locations. And people watching were there for the aftershocks. It hit. Go over there and see what happened. So during that siege of earthquakes, the helicopter was up there. Larry Sher and Harold Morby are a great duo, the camera, the voice, and the pictures.
Yeah. So, Watts riots in 1965. What comes to mind?
Oh, that was something. There was no way you could really get a camera into the thing. Now we bought some freelance camera footage from guys who were out there chasing stories, and so we had that on. And so with our helicopter, we could go up in the helicopter, have a handheld camera, and pretty well get shots of what was going on. So again, those big events are what triggered the real progress of television, and people realized that television cameras should be where the action is, and the KTLA helicopter brought them right into the middle of it.
Yeah. We'll be right back after the break.
Financial advisor is being accused of committing one of the largest investment frauds in the history of the United States.
I guess we're not going to Aspen. That's fine. You see, I like tennis balls. He likes insider trading. So he's going to jail and I'm going to a shelter. And no, they're not the same thing. Shelters are for good pets that want to be adopted. Jails are for criminals. I've done nothing. Uh-oh. Okay, I stole a cheeseburger once on my dog.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Williams. What do you have for me this time?
My husband and my son.
That will do nicely. What will you bring me next time?
My life.
It never ceases to amaze me what people will give up for a drink.
I really didn't want to tell anybody, and I didn't.
Hiding sadness makes you more and more sad.
If you're strong enough to just open your mouth, that's all it takes.
The healing is in me and can also be extended to others.
Giving voice to what you're feeling is part of the healing.
You've seen storytelling evolve right in front of you, and what can you tell me how it's changed over the years from when you started until now?
Well, when we started, if you got something that moved, You had a news story. We didn't have many cameras. Those cameras were film. This was way before videotape. So you went to the scene and you saw what had just happened. And so it was just static. And you figure, how can this be that important? But with Gil Martin, he was able to really bring the whole news coverage live, because this happened here, that happened there, and the cameras were over here. And he knew how to repeat it several times for viewers who were just tuning in. So Gil and the KTLA crew pretty well set the pace for television news coverage. Show it when it's there, put it on the air, and it pretty well tells the story.
Yeah. But now journalism has changed.
Yes, there are hundreds of cameras, literally, not only the television stations, but the freelance cameramen. There are cameramen there who were freelance, who would take their camera out at night and get the accidents that took place or the fires that took place, and kind of on a home basis, if you know what I mean. Nothing elaborate.
Now people are not getting their news through television. Now they're using the internet to get their news via Facebook, Twitter. What do you think about that? Do you think it's changed? You think it's still an honorable profession?
It has changed, and yes, I do. It's just more that you didn't have before. Now the little handheld camera is still the basic story. The night that Kennedy was shot at the Ambassador Hotel, we were there live while it was there. Just unbelievable. The screaming, the yelling, the horrified people. And here was the live camera showing what was going on at that moment. So it brought the world right into your living room. And this is what television has done literally so beautifully over the years. It's a sad thing. There's a lot of remorse and defeat in that, but it happened. It's the real world. And it's there now to show what is happening in our city, in our state, in our world.
What do you think about celebrity news?
Well, celebrity news is like sports news. You know, we had sports news back in the 30s and nothing else. We got all the baseball scores and the football scores and on the same day, and people of renown, people who are known, are there with, and the cameras shoot them.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of part of what news coverage is.
What do you think our society and our democracy happens without journalism?
It's a vital part, because things happen, things change things, and the more people know about what is happening to them and to their world, the better off in the long run everything is, because then people can react from a logical point of view. It's not just that shot, the gasping. So I do think that because of television news coverage across the country and the whole world is a very good window to what is happening, what has to be changed, what should we do, what can we do. And the different law enforcement agencies are there, and they're answering the questions. Those who are involved in the decisions are there answering the questions. So television has brought the individual viewer right into the mix of the television activities going on. So nothing is going to get by the people. They've seen it all.
Yeah. So what can you tell aspiring journalists about the profession?
It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. I'm so fortunate to have been a part of it. But most of it and much of it is just luck. Just being there at the right time, at the right moment, doing what you want to do. And that's, it's a roll of the dice. And now there's such big operations that we can pretty well have camera crews any place in the world. And so it's now the news gathering unit that deserves all the credit, because they're the ones that get the cameras out there. They're the ones that get the reporters there. They're the ones that are on the mountaintop. They've thought of all of the things to make the news story better. And we have such a good competitive news society that you only get the best. Yeah. And as you know, in a very short time, when a news story breaks, our KTLA helicopter is right above showing what happened and is going around, others there with the live cameras. So it's a whole dimension of television. Television is a very vital part of our society, and it's been that way, and it's going to continue to be that way.
Now that you're retired, you still come, I work with you at KTLA, and I still see you coming in with a huge smile on your face, with so much dedication and passion. Do you see any of that with any current reporters or journalists?
Oh, yeah. Really do. I think we have very well-trained reporters. They've all done their duty and got their stripes, so to speak, and that's good.
What do you do to keep calm? You must be under pressure, a lot of pressure, being live on television. So what do you do?
But I think you put that into the calm gear, and the more control you as a reporter have on a live situation, the better you're going to be. That emotion it's inside and it's going to come out, but you're not going to let it overwhelm you. And everybody who's been in the business has gone through a lot of this. And the more the individual goes through it, the better the stories are going to be.
Thank you, Stan. We still have so many things to talk about, and we'll be right back after the break.
Have you ever considered, I don't know, getting it waxed?
Waxed?
Yeah.
Bro, that's a little weird.
I don't know. Doesn't seem that weird to me.
Just keep shaving my back, okay? Oh, dude, can I get a bite?
What? With my spoon? It's disgusting.
If you don't talk to your kids, I will.
There's a monster in my bathtub. There's one on the couch. There's a monster on my bed.
Keep innocent things from triggering an asthma attack.
Please make the monsters go away.
Learn how to stop their asthma attacks at noattacks.org.
Every child is curious. George, look what I found. Turn their curiosity into a lifelong love of learning.
That's a periscope.
It's one of the most important gifts you can share. Create a curious reader.
Oh, you want to build a castle like that one? This is super bedtime reading.
Share a book together today. Visit read.gov.
So here are the keys. Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here. Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
How did you meet Klaus Landsberg?
Well, you've got to be lucky in this business. I was at SC, the GI Bill, And a group of us put together a campus magazine. And that's about 4 or 5 of us that owned it, and we put out the issues and we sold the advertising in it. And it went great. You were out of the Navy, you have a job, you owned this small magazine. And at one time, we decided to do a story on television because it hadn't happened yet. It was just coming along. And so we actually talked to the people at KTLA, and we did a couple of stories from there. And then kind of as a result of that, KTLA hired me. So I went to work at KTLA at that time. And Klaus Landsberg was really the key, because he believed in having cameras right there where the news was happening. And so when they had the atomic bomb tests, the camera was able to get something, could be right up there. But that's it, to be able to take a camera and put it where news is going to happen. You don't know, nobody knows. Is that camera going to be used? It happens like that. And so you got to be lucky. You've got to be lucky. And we were very lucky because we had our cameras out all the time doing various stories.
You started at KTLA and stayed with KTLA for 62 years. Is there a reason why you stayed there and you didn't go anywhere else?
Well, I always lived only about 5 blocks away.
So it's perfect.
So we bought our home, raised our children up in the Larchmont area. Yeah. We've been there the whole time, and the whole reason is if a story breaks, I'm there, or I can go with the cameraman and the other right away, and it becomes really a part of your lifestyle.
So now that you're retired, what are your plans?
Oh, I'm just enjoying things.
Yeah.
We spent a whole week down at the beach. You can't do better than that, can you? I've never done that before. And I'm working on some video projects, and I'm halfway through my 3rd book, and so that's going to go. So I'm enjoying it, and I enjoy sleeping in on Monday morning.
Well, Stan, really do appreciate you coming in. That's all the time we have, and this is On Point, Fabiola Franco.
Television is always at its finest during news coverage, and we just happened to get a jump on the others because we had Klaus Landsberg, and because we had good compact equipment, and it was a great era. It was a magnificent era.